Welcome to Advocate Today. I'm Tracy E. Gilchrist. February marks Black History Month, and one initiative is working to empower Black women and girls everywhere. The third annual Black Girl Freedom Week is taking place February 13th through 19th and will mobilize a $1 billion investment over the next 10 years. The week of celebration and action is being hosted by the hashtag 1 Billion for Black Girls campaign and the Black Girl Freedom Fund. I spoke with the president and CEO of Girls for Gender Equity, Joanne Smith, and youth and alumni organizing manager, Damala Denny, to learn more about what Black Girls Freedom Week is doing to nurture and spotlight Black girls. Hi, today we are welcoming Joanne Smith and Damala Denny. Joanne is founding president and CEO of Girls for Gender Equity, and Damala is an alumni and youth organizer for Girls for Gender Equity. So thank you so much for being here. We're here to talk about Black Girl Freedom Week.
The 1 Billion for Black Girls campaign really came about when about 8 Black women who have led for decades in the field to create programming, to support research and analysis, to raise dollars for Black girls, came together and understood that within philanthropy, there's an abundance of money. And Black girls specifically receive the least of the dollars, and that it was important for us to set a precedence that $1 billion for Black girls could be raised within 10 years intentionally, and that we would set this campaign under the guise of Grant Makers for Girls of Color, Black Girl Freedom Fund. And in our third year, we're launching the Black Girl Freedom Week. This is the third week of our third year of doing this in February, from February 13th to the 19th, where we really get to celebrate the joy, the cultural curation of Black girls, femmes, and gender expansive young people, and really get to share how we can use, dream, invest in Black girls, and make abundant investments in Black girls, as they have contributed for centuries to the culture, with very little. And now's the time for us to have an abundance of investment.
And then I wonder, would you give a little bit of your background and how you arrived at becoming a founder of this platform?
Sure. Well, I'm the founder of Girls for Gender Equity, and Girls for Gender Equity creates the conditions for Black girls to have direct service and space where their needs are met, where their joy and their abundant potential is accepted, loved, valued. They have space to create, but then they also have space to challenge the institutional systems and structures and policies that impede their lives, right? So Girls for Gender Equity for the last 20 years has been an incubator for Black thought and leadership, challenging many of the systems and institutions and policies, the schools, the welfare system, that harm oftentimes Black girls, that are violent to Black girls, but also a space where joy and abundance and what it looks like to experience joy and experience innovation can happen. It was natural when Dr. Monique Kovson, president and CEO of Grant Makers of Girls of Color, brought us together. Myself, Latasha, Tarana, Fatima, Salamisha, Scheherazade, Teresa, and asked us to think about what we can do different, that philanthropy isn't doing, and how can we create our own? Because we rely so much on others to invest in Black girls. How can we create our own incubator for investment so that we know where the dollars are going, but also so that we know that generating those funds actually leads to the years of support that Black girls and femmes and gender expansive youth need.
And then I'd like to go to you, Damala, and ask a little bit of your background and how you came to be a youth organizer, and what are some of the things that you're doing in that leadership?
Thanks so much, Tracy. I've been organizing since I was a young person. Now I am the Youth and Alumni Organizing Manager at Girls for Gender Equity. In that role, I serve as a resource for alum of GGE programs and their extended communities. We're currently building a mentorship model for program participants to be matched with our alum for peer to peer learning and development. One example is an amazing young person named Tony. They graduated from our school based work program, and before they left high school, they started a Gay Straight Alliance at their school. It was the first ever in the history of their school. And they're now creating a blueprint and providing guidance for other youth that want to have spaces like that where queer young people are celebrated, centered, and the needs that they have are met. Um, I really think that Girls for Gender Equity is unique in that when we say girls, we mean girls that are cis and trans. We mean gender expansive youth. We mean non binary youth. And that community is often impacted the most by the systems of oppression that exist, but often not called upon to use their voices to impact those systems.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, thank you for that information. And Joanne, would you talk a bit about, I know you have some big things planned for Black Girl Freedom Week, and would you talk a little bit about what that might look like?
Sure. So the third annual week of virtual and accessible events takes place Monday, February 13th to Sunday, February 19th. And so this week's theme is art, innovation, and there are a number of events. The renowned writer and director Gina Maria Prince Bythewood, director of The Woman King. If you haven't seen it 2, 3 times, what are you doing with your life? Will will be on. She wrote and directed influential feature films, including Love and
Mhm.
Basketball. I mean, that again needs to be a staple in your life.
Beyond, is it
Even if you
Beyond the Lights as well?
what?
Is it Beyond the Lights?
Beyond the Lights, yep.
That one,
The
yeah.
Secret Life of Bees, like the just phenomenal brilliance.
Yeah.
Layla Motley, author of Night Crawling, and a number of panel discussions. So one of the areas that Grantmakers for Girls of Color, Black Girl Freedom Fund has pivoted into intentionally is the Future Economy Lab and how young Black girls and femmes, gender expansive youth of color, are rethinking and co-creating new financial systems to benefit their communities. And I had the privilege of being part of that advisory group and hearing from the young people, but also hearing them the report back and the vision that they have of how resources can be spent. And we have a lot to learn from young people because it's beyond money. Money extremely important, but an understanding that resources come a number of ways,
Mhm.
and that our world looks like being able to have access in a number of ways that I think we sort of lose sight of when we are older, and it is about just the dollar. So let's make no mistake, it's about the dollar. It's about the access. It's about the culture. It's about the expectation, but it's also about wellness. It's
Yeah.
also about an intentional shift and not going back to what it was pre quarantine. I can't even say pre-pandemic because it is pandemic still.
Mhm.
But the week will continue to cultivate and amplify storytelling by femmes and gender expansive youth. Panels will be moderated by the very own Dr. Salamisha Tillett. And of course, Nicole Salter, Chair, Department of Theater of Arts of
Mhm.
Chadwick A. Boseman, College of Fine Arts at Howard. May he rest in peace. And, just a number of Black 1 Billion for Black Girls campaign co-founders and influencers, artists, as well as Black girls and gender expansive youth that come from the programs that are supported will be a part of the week. We've been a part of the week in the past, and we'll highlight and support and lend ourselves and our voices to the activities that are going on not only on screen but on Twitter, on Instagram, and continue to raise the voice and the platform and space for Black girls to be centered.
Thank you so much to Joanne and Damala for stopping by. To learn how to get involved or to participate in Black Girls Freedom Week, visit 1billionforblackgirls.org.